Shalom uvracha from Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. With the help of Hashem, we continue our joint study of Pirkie Avot, of the ethics of the fathers. This evening's Mishna is chapter 2, Mishna 10. The numbering system is different in many of the works. We've been following one system. It could be in the text in front of you. It's not Mishna Yud, but I hope that you'll be able to follow in sequence the books that we're using. This is Perek Bet, Mishnah Yud, chapter 2, Mishnah number 10. And we are speaking, last session we studied together, the great teachings of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the most outstanding rabbinic leaders at the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. Tonight, we learn about the descendants, we learn about the students of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. And Mishnah Yud records, Chamisha Talmidim Hayulo, the Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. The Mishnah says he had 5 students. Now, anyone who's aware of the great level of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, he didn't have 5 students. He had numerous students. I guess the way to understand our Mishnah is he had 5 outstanding students. 5 students, maybe these were his closest students. Excuse me. Maybe these are the students who made the mark in terms of their great teachings in Mishnaic literature. And the Mishnah lists for us, and I'll read the list of the 5 students. And in the next Mishnah, Mishnah 11, it says that he found words of praise for each of them. Hu haya moneh shivcham. I would like to suggest that maybe if you want to reach the level of having students, or maybe having students on the level of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, maybe you should start praising your students. Hu haya moneh shivcham. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai was able to focus on a great point in each of his students. I hope it's the case with all the great teachers in the world. I hope that all the Rabbanim, and all the Mechanechim, and all the Morot, and all the Mechanechot, and all the Mashpi'im, and all the Mashpiot, they should learn not just the greatness of all these rabbis who were the students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, but from the lesson that's recorded. I don't think we'll get to it this evening. In the next Mishnah, in Mishnah Yud Aleph, in Mishnah number 11, Hu haya moneh shivcham. It is so important to demonstrate an awareness of the greatness of each and every one of the people who is studying with you. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, not just as a great Torah sage, but as a great Torah teacher and as a great Torah leader, he encouraged these 5 great rabbis, Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanuz, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hananiah, Rabbi Yosei HaKohen, Rabbi Shimon ben Netanel, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. And we will learn how he was able to focus on a particular point in the personalities and in the lives of each of these great people. Unfortunately, there are people in the past who have taught who just speak about the group as a group, or don't notice the individuality or the singularity of each person. And I think that the way to develop a close relationship with students is Hu haya moneh shivcham. If a teacher can not identify a grace, a saving grace, an aspect which should be lauded, which should be complimented in the student, maybe it's a certain form of lack in the quality of that particular teacher. Nothing to say about this person. You don't notice that this person is special. You don't notice that this person is great. So maybe you won't have this person as your Talmid. It's the same thing with parents also. Maybe every parent, with Avot Hashem, I'm sure it's true already in the world, but just as a reminder, every parent should be able to praise some aspect of each of the children. You have nothing to say, nothing positive to say about this child or that child. So in what sense are you really identifying their greatness? I would like to learn something about each of these people. It may take us a while, but the cough is not contagious on YouTube. Baruch Hashem. But I do have tissues here anyway. Anyway, I would like to learn something about each of these great rabbis, because these are the 5 outstanding students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The first one mentioned in the list is known to us from many, many places. He's mentioned hundreds of times in terms of his great teaching. I even once read that maybe the name Eliezer is 318. Someone found 318 teachings of his in the Mishnaic literature. He's a very, very well rounded scholar, a Torah sage, which Rabbi Eliezer, whatever it says about Rabbi Eliezer, Stam Rabbi Eliezer is Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanuz. He's also known as Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol. Maybe some people have studied the Midrashic literature of Pirkie, the Rabbi Eliezer, very, very great sage of the early period of the Mishna. And we find fascinating biography about each of these people. I think the only real way to understand the greatness of these people is to say something about the personal lives of each one. I don't think we can do more than 1 or 2 each a week, but maybe it'll take us a while to get through Mishnah 10. But those people who've been studying with us probably recognize that we do not go at a very quick pace here in studying Pirkie Avot. I hope it's okay. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanuz has a fascinating life story. He seemed to have come from a very, very wealthy home. Hurkanuz was extremely wealthy. And according to the sources, Rabbi Eliezer, I don't know if he was a rabbi then, but he was very much involved in working with his father Hurkanuz. I guess in the family business, maybe tilling the soil, working the fields, together with his brothers, together with his family. And it seems that up to a certain point in his life, maybe there are 2 versions, whether it be the age of 22, the age of 28, there are different sources. He was totally void of any Torah knowledge. Now, this is fascinating because as we learn the biographies of these great rabbis, we will learn, the most famous, of course, is one of the great students of these people, Rabbi Akiva, who started at the age of 4. That's well known. But not everybody knows that Rabbi Eliezer did not really study Torah until the age of, advanced age of his late 20s. And the description in the literature is that he was crying. He sat down and he just started crying. And his father says, "What's the matter?" He had everything going for him. He was so wealthy. So he says, I really want to study Torah. But you're already a mature adult. You're not a young child. You're going to go study Torah. Why don't you just get married and get involved in the activities of this world? Maybe your children will study Torah, and maybe when they study Torah, it'll be as if you're studying. And Eliezer, who ultimately became Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanuz, refused to accept that. Because he was working in the field, and he decided that he's leaving. He's leaving the wealth of his father. He's leaving the comfort of his home, and he's going to go to Yerushalayim and study Torah under the great teacher that we're learning about tonight. 5 students. These are the 5 students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the leading scholar. He was extremely poor because he had to go to Yerushalayim without the support of his family, unfortunately. This seems to be a repetitive theme that we'll come across as we study about some of the great rabbis. And I'm not criticizing Hyrcanus, but Hyrcanus did not recognize this to necessarily be the proper path. And there's a description in certain sources about how hungry he was. He was famished. He had no food. He had no money. And he came to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and slowly learned and grew and grew and grew to very great levels of outstanding Torah. And as the years passed, Hyrcanus was approached by the other family members, maybe the siblings of Eliezer, and said, "Do you see what your son did to you? He just left you, and he went to Yerushalayim. Maybe you should go to formally remove him from the estate. Cut him out of the estate. Remove Eliezer from
the inheritance. What inheritance?
From the inheritance, right? From the okay." And the Hyrcanus decides that's what he's going to do. He's going to go to Yerushalayim, maybe to the great court, to the Beit Din, maybe the Beit Din HaGadol, and formally proclaim, "My son Eliezer is out." And on the day that he arrived, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the outstanding leader, who was involved in a very, very prominent day in the life of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he had a very all the great leaders of Yerushalayim were there, all the great leaders of the time. And when Hyrcanus came, he gave him a prominent place. Hyrcanus was an outstanding, philanthropist, an outstanding, wealthy individual. And Hyrcanus sat and joined them in the meal. In the course of the meal, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai invites none other than Eliezer to deliver a sermon. And the language that's used is he gave a drasha. He expounded the teachings of the Torah in a way that was beyond description. And his face was shining with the light of Torah. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was so impressed. He stood up and he kissed Rabbi Eliezer on his head, and he says, "Wow, fortunate are Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov that such a person is one of their descendants." And Hyrcanus is very confused, because he came to Yerushalayim for the he said, "Who are you talking about? Who was he addressing? Oh, Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. What?" And he said, "Well, maybe there should be a maybe they should make mention not just of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Maybe they should make mention of the fact that this is my son. Not only are Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov fortunate in having such a descendant. I'm the father of this man." And he stands up. Maybe he stands up on one of the benches. There's a proclamation to make, and this is what he said. He says, "You know what I'm doing here in Yerushalayim? I came to remove Eliezer from any connection to any of my wealth. And after hearing what's going on, after realizing the great levels of achievement of Eliezer, I want to do the opposite." Like the brothers who encouraged him to get him. I would like to give my entire estate to Eliezer. And there's a whole discussion about, no, he doesn't want that. He wants to cut out the other brothers from the estate now. So this is a fascinating story. I mean, there's a whole continuation of it also. But I guess maybe in order to really learn Torah from Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, very, very often we meet people studying Mishna, people studying Talmud. So you learn about Rabbi Eliezer, we tell you about hundreds and how Rabbi Eliezer said this, but if you don't know where he's coming from, you don't know his background. I think that studying something about the biography of each of the rabbis opens up new areas of study. I had a great teacher. His name is Rabbi Moshe Leiter, of blessed memory, more than any of my other teachers. Leiter, Leiter.
There was a Dr. Leiter at the Long Island Jewish Hospital named Leiter.
Could be, I don't know.
He was on it by Chabad of Brooklyn Heights.
I don't know.
My God.
I don't know. I was privileged to learn with Rabbi Leiter. Baruch Hashem, he was a great Talmudic scholar. And when he retired, he was a rabbi of the community, and he moved to my parents' neighborhood. And he started praying in my father's shul in Yeshivat Ol Moshe. And I think I was about 12 or 13. And he was about 70 years older than me. And my father insisted that I should go learn with Rabbi Leiter. It was, and it was one of the greatest things I ever did in my life. Of course, I opposed it when my father suggested, Abba, I'm telling you this man, he says, I said, I go to yeshiva. He says, he knows more than the people you're learning from in yeshiva. He says, go ahead. He wrote, we have in the house here, several of his writings on Talmud. I mean, it was a great scholar. One of the things that he emphasized, Rabbi Leiter, was don't just study the teaching, study the teacher. I had so few people of all the people that I studied under their tutelage that did this. Most times it's like Amar, Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We read it because it's in the text, but it doesn't really speak to us, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Yeah, it's there, but what does it mean? And of course, if you can relate to this idea, compare it, let's say, to the living rabbis. Everyone here has met rabbis. Everyone has had teachers. Teacher A is not the same as teacher B. It's not the same as teacher C. It's not the same as teacher D. One Rav and one Rebbe is not the same. And the more you can learn about their life, and Rabbi Leiter insisted that we do this. So much so that there was a point in my life when I would learn a Talmudic text, I would always have Rabbi Hyman put out a book called Toldot Tanaim V'Amoraim, the history of the rabbis in the Talmud. Tanaim V'Amoraim. Someone recently put out a book in English about the Talmudic rabbis, who's who in the Talmud, and other writings. I forgot the name. I just saw the book recently about the biography. It's very important. It's very important. The more you know. Rabbi Leiter's expertise was trying to show the connection between so many of the teaching. If you have hundreds of teaching, maybe you see a certain approach in the way they learn. So when you study the great teachings of Rabbi Eliezer, and you know from whence he stems, where is he coming from, what did he do, the self-sacrifice, maybe this helps us understand a little bit more about why these are the 5 outstanding students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And why is it that he praised them? In each one, he saw an outstanding accomplishment. I hope, with the help of Hashem, to continue B'li Neder next week, maybe to learn about each of these 5 rabbis mentioned in the Mishna. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. We did not do justice to Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, but if we would do, then we would have to spend many months studying Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. I hope to continue next week about Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon ben Nathaniel, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, and maybe maybe we could find some kind of common denominator between these 5 and see how these were the select 5 students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. May each of us find the proper teachers and the proper students. May we recognize the greatness. And may we learn from the outstanding levels of accomplishment of each of these great men. Thank you so much for listening.